Well, let's get another email question in. This is from Renee in the Netherlands, and she asks, or he asks, I'm not too sure, will your policies lead to the improvement of the position of women according to international standards in your nation?
We have made it very clear as a standard policy of gender equality. The president of the party now is a lady, Aziza, and our commitment is to make sure there's better effective representation both in the political and civil service and general governance. But more important is some of the legislation which is deemed to be discriminatory and even some aspects of the enforcement and implementation of the family Sharia court system that the women folks seems to be extremely unhappy about. This need to be corrected.
Okay. I want to talk about some foreign policy issues. This was a statement that was released on your website. It was about the situation in the Middle East, and it said, in part, we believe aggression against the occupation of sovereign nations are against the norms of civilized nations. Therefore, the occupation of Palestine and Iraq represents a travesty of international law. Can you tell us more about that?
Clearly, there is no way can any decent person endorse or support the policy of the U.S. administration on Iraq. A lot of debates and contentious issues raised, but nothing short of a complete exit of occupied forces. No country in the world these days would allow foreign occupation forces to occupy their country. And this has led to so much disaster and calamity, and that is why we take a very strong view against the American occupation in Iraq.
Yeah, you've also taken a very strong line on the issue of Iran. Also from your website there was a statement here which says, we are also concerned by the combative tone taken by the current American administration in dealing with the alleged development of nuclear weapons by Iran. We warn the Bush administration that any aggression against Iran will be an affront not only to Muslims but to the international community as well.
Clearly, because you take such a combative tone, you give threats, and the evidence are always questionable based on the experience of the past. But notwithstanding that, what we're suggesting is a preparedness to engage and continue a serious engagement, including with Iran. You cannot solve the problem in Iraq without engaging its neighbors. Effective, strong commitment to engage. Whether we agree or disagree, there are issues in Iran which I personally disagree, but you cannot deny their right to exist and their right to decide for themselves what is best for their country. But more important, if we have strong reservations against any of the stipulated policies or actions of Iran, we have to continue to negotiate.
Okay, let's get in another caller. This is from Harris in the United Kingdom. Harris?
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My question is to Ibrahim, because currently the Malaysian economic system is under dual banking system, which is Islamic and conventional banking system. I just want to ask him if he's going to bring any changes, and which banking system would he prefer for the macroeconomic policy?
We should allow the mushrooming of a conventional system has proven its worth and has been working. In Islamic finance system and Islamic financial instruments has now been the norm. It's been operating all over the world, including in the United States and Western countries. Although I have taken up an issue on the future of Islamic finance, it's not just Sharia compliant or non-usury based. It should be a better alternative, a better viable alternative. What is our view on environmental degradation and climate change? What is our view on public housing and agriculture and the issue of abject poverty? I mean, these issues must be addressed by Islamic finance and not just pursuing a program for profit without regard to some of the major issues of concern to the international community.
We just have a minute, and I want to ask you very quickly about your work at Accountability, which is a forum that looks at corruption around the world. You were very critical of the British government for stopping an investigation into the sale of arms to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because if government that have been hectoring for decades about governance and accountability, using all the multilateral institutions, from WTO to IMF to the World Bank, and on the need for governance and corruption, and then deciding to close an investigation on a corruption, allegation of corruption. But this is, of course, something which would be negative and contrary to the aspirations of the many. That is why we are taking a very strong position on that. And I think it's quite hypocritical for many of the Western governments to hector and not act on it.
Right, Dr. Ibrahim, that's where we have to leave it. Thanks for joining us.